Okay. So this chapter, I'm not over the test because I feel like I'm not going to do.
Oh, we're not going over the questions in the test.
On test one.
No.
Oh, you want me to give you the answers?
Yeah.
Well, in the multiple choice, a couple of them are A, a couple of them are B.
Couple
But
of them are C.
yes, you got the whole thing. Okay. Chapter 10 in this C++ book is the same as Gaddis's chapter 9 in the Java book. We start out talking a little bit about characters, and then we moved into strings. So if you watch the videos and you remember anything from back in the Java class, some things that are going on here is that we have this ever popular include CC type that we have to get into the beginning so we can work with some of this stuff. Now, these character conversions, I want to test some things for characters. And again, this is first. This is characters first. The things that I can do to test for characters. Well, just like back in Java, we have a whole bunch of, now we're calling them functions, that are going to be able to test and give us values, a return type that's Boolean of true or false. And we had the whole bunch of them, is alpha, is numeric, is digit, all of these different ones that return Boolean. And just a quick note from the video, these are different finally. For some reason, these aren't camel case, which instinctively you think they would be, but they're not. Also going on with character testing was we were able to check for different things like uppercase or lowercase. And I can convert a lowercase a to an uppercase a. This guy was good because if you ask somebody, would you like to run again? And you got that Y, you can make it a capital or a lower by using one of these functions, to upper or to lowercase. So just like back in Java, the first part, we talked about character testing. As I was doing the code listings, I didn't need to use CC type frame. Oh, okay. Any questions on what was talked about in the videos about character testing? And again, this is working with a single character. Back in Java, how did we get that a single character from a string? Does anybody remember what that was?
How do you get a single character from a string?
Yeah, yeah, char.
You do. Oh, I'm trying to remember. I'm gonna have my eyes in the thing here.
What do you think? Just take a guess. What do we use?
No.
I think it's Karat. I don't know. I just have
Charat.
a hunch.
Yeah, charat. We use charat. And that was able to get a character. And then I could do a bunch of work with characters. The most popular one was charat zero. And then, of course, we had to put the string name in there as well. But this was the method that we used back then, which was big working with chars. Okay, so when I first started teaching, way back when, I taught basic. And then we moved up to Pascal and we slowly kept changing. We then went to C, then we went to Java, then we went to C++. It was we were all over the place, and a big part of it was dictated by the AP test that was given to high school students. But I remember back when we had to learn before there was a string type, there was something called C string. And there is this legacy code still hanging around. And and hang on 1 second. There's this legacy code that's still hanging around that you may find a job and they say, well, we have all these old programs in C. I need you to be able to fix them up. They're not in C++. So you need to understand how they work and how strings worked back in the day. I can remember when the AP test was in Java and the method, the class of strings was added to it as something new. So in my lifetime, we were dealing with these arrays of characters. This is just like an array of character. How do we know where it ends in memory? It had that /0, that null terminator. And a bunch of that was discussed in the book or in the videos coming into this. Okay. We have the C string preprocessor directive that should be added in. Bunch of functions that were talked about, string concatenation, adding two strings together. Sometimes we had to be careful with the length of what we were doing, but quite a bit of that was all in the videos. Some things that were going on. How did I convert this C string? And say I want to convert that string to an integer variable. Well, we have a couple of these functions like a to I that are not supported by Bloodshed. So Bloodshed stopped supporting new things. This is one of them it doesn't support, these A to I functions. Another thing was the ranged base for loops. They're not supported. The word
Oh,
null
so that's why they
pointer
weren't working.
was that
That's why they weren't working in my code listings.
correct? Correct. Yep. But for 95% of what we're doing and like to do, Bloodshed works just fine. But we're going to get a couple things that when I say not supported, you're like, well, why wouldn't they support? Well, they stopped in the early 2000s. So a lot of this stuff was added to the languages, not all my compilers. So that was phase with the C strings, the C strings. And then finally, all of a sudden, we got the string class. And that's what we're familiar with working with. One of the big things is the get line. The get line gets all the way out to the end of the line until the carriage return. It's going to get all that stuff in. One of the big precautions as you're working with these guys was to make sure that buffer. And in the last program, a couple of you had trouble with something being left in the buffer, and I couldn't enter the character string that we were using to look in the source string. Overall, the class did a great job with that last program, with the pointers and everything. A couple of you had a little trouble getting it up and started, but do not mix getLine and cin if you can help it. Yeah, you are right. You are right. Okay, so today you watched the videos. We just did a quick overview from some of the videos to see if there were some questions. But where you're going to figure out how to do C strings is by doing these 5 programs. Now, I'm giving you almost over an hour to do these. Some of them are going to be pretty easy. In fact, most of them don't need a lot of code. You need to think about what you're doing first and go from there. For example, the first one is this number 3. And if I take a look at number 3, it's this word counter. Write a function that accepts a pointer to a C string, da 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 da. So you're going to have this nice long C string, 7 years ago. How many words are there? In the C string?
6.
6. How many spaces are there?
Let's see. I don't have the zoom thing up. Let me see.
It would be
Uh,
5, right?
5.
1, 2, 3,
5.
4, 5. Yeah, 5.
If I gave you a sentence with 10 words, how many spaces would there be?
9.
9. If I said there's 3 spaces in this sentence, how many words are there?
4.
4.
4. You got the idea of what's going on in number 3. We talked about it. Now all of a sudden it's easier to figure out how many words there are. Okay. So
Kind of confusing.
what's that?
That is a little bit confusing.
So if I
when
go
you're
through a character at a time in my C string and I count the spaces and I come up with 5 spaces, how many words will there be?
6.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the words store in the array similar to the characters.
Well, remember, we're not doing strings. We're doing C strings. And a C string is like an array of characters. It's side by side characters. So string doesn't even exist at all. So how do
Okay.
you know how do you know you're at the end of a C string? You reach what? The null character. So if I said, hello world today, out here at the end is that /0, that null character. So I'm going to get to starting memory location and go through this one at a time until I get to that end, till I get to that null 0. As I'm going through, I'm going to count how many spaces there are. There's 2 spaces, total is 3 words.
Basically, this you have to write an algorithm before you write this program, right? Kind of, sort of.
Yeah, and we just talked about it and thinking about it. We have some test data. I just need to go from the starting memory address till I hit that null character, count the number of spaces. Okay, so there's 5 of them there. I'm going to make bigger groups today so y'all can share. There's 10. Hate to do groups of 5. What is the point of normal strings as C strings seem to get used so much? Normal strings are now so much easier to work with. And the functions that come with normal strings, yeah.